fellow crafters, Lori here with the Crafty Connection, and today I am doing my DIYs from the Craft My Stash box that I received from Amy over at Crafting with Amy. I will put a link to her channel down below in the description. We sent each other a box of stuff from our stash, and we get to pick 5 things out of that to use, plus we can use things from our own stash. So this is all the stuff that she sent me in the box, and I'm going to go ahead and pick out the 5 things that I'm going to use from her box for my DIYs, and the DIYs are going to be Bumblebee and Ladybug themed. So she sent me all the stuff here on the table. So she sent me 3 of these round or oval plaques. So I'm going to use 2 of these. So there's 2. I have to use 5 items. I may use the other one too, but I'll count that as 2. And then I have stuff. So I think I'm going to use this little truck. So that will be considered 3. And I will probably go ahead and use the rings. So that'll be 4. I'm gonna maybe use these burlap. That'll be 5. These trays came and they broke in transit, so I'm not sure what to do with these. I may use one. This one I'll put aside for something else. I have a barn. I have a little house and a sign, so I may use the sign. But these I'm not going to use in this DIY, so I will put these away. So let me get set up, and I will be back to start the DIYs. Okay, so what I've done here, let me show you what I'm doing. I took 2. I'm gonna just use 2 of these little oval shapes, and what I did is I pulled the sticker off, and then I pulled this off, and I used little plier things to pull the staple out. So that's what I have here. And then I just took my little finger sander and sanded this down because there were some rough edges on it. I'll link this down below in the description if you're interested in the finger sander. And so that's what I've done with these. And I'm going to do 1 ladybug and I'm going to do 1 bee. So I'm going to paint these shortly. But so I found I found these Christmas bulb wood ornaments. I believe I got these at Dollar Tree during Christmas time. And all I did for that to make a round, I didn't have any rounds and we're using our stash. So I just took my scissors and literally just, these are so thin and easy to cut. I just cut off that piece of the ornament and then took the sander and just got rid of any rough edges there. So now I have 2 circles. Those will be the heads. And then for the wings, I found some of these heart things, and I believe these came from Dollar Tree. Also, they're real thin wood, but they all had the hole in them. I don't know if you can see, I already covered them. So what I did is I put a piece of tape. This is painter's tape. You can use masking, clear, scotch, whatever you have. Just something to keep the spackle, and I just used some of the Dollar Tree spackle here. And I filled in the holes and I let it dry, and then I just sanded it down. And then I will just take off the pieces of tape. So then you have 2 nice, I think I already took the tape off of these. I did. And so there, and I'm going to use these for the wings, for the bee. And I will just glue them together. Probably didn't even need to spackle all of those, but I did. Anyway, I'm going to glue these together like that. And this will be the wings for the bee. And then for the ladybug, I found a round, just a wood round. This I think came from Michael's or Hobby Lobby. But any wood round will do. This is just the one I had. I wish I would have had a thinner one, but I didn't. But it was really easy to cut in half, so all I did was measure across it to get the center of it and marked it, drew a line, and then I just used my little cutters and traced it. It's not perfect, doesn't have to be. And then I sanded it again with the finger sander just to get all the rough edges off. And this will be the, so the head will be up there and the wings will be like this for the ladybug. So next I have to paint. And I'm going to start by painting my wings. I'm going to paint white. I'm going to paint these white. And then for my bee, I'm going to paint it in this, it's called School Bus Yellow paint. It's from Folk Art. It's just acrylic paint. Any yellow will do. This is just the one that I liked. And I'm going to paint the whole thing in this School Bus Yellow. And then I'll use tape, and I'll do it as I get there. I will show you what I'm doing to make the line so I can put the black on. And then the little face here will be black also. And then for the ladybug, I'm going to paint the oval black. And then I'm going to paint the wings red. And I'll be putting little black dots on it. And a black face here. Which I will show you all that when I get it painted and how I'm doing it. And then I'm also going to be using some wire to make the antennas. But I will show you when I get to that. Alright, so let me go ahead and get the base colors of paint down on these, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back, and I have everything pretty much painted how I want it. So what I'm going to do next is show you what I've done. I can't talk today. And then I will start moving on. So I took my ovals, and I painted them the school bus yellow. This one is black. This one's for the bee. This one's for the ladybug. The two black circles for the heads. For the wings, these are the ones I cut in half. So I painted them red, and then I put the black dots. Probably put too many black dots on there, but you know what? That's okay. And how I did the dots is I took one of these little small sponge circle brushes. Get those from the Dollar Tree. Just dipped it in the black paint and made my dots. Alright, so next up, I'm going to be gluing the hearts together. And grab my glue. So I painted both sides. One side is not as painted as the other, because when I put these together, then I can repaint the back to where it's, if needed. I don't think will need it, and if I do, it'll just be a little bit of a touch-up. Alright, so what I'm going to do is put it up here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to set this on here. So I have it where I want it. And then I'm just going to make a pencil line just so I know where to put the glue. So I'm taking some of the super glue, wood glue. Also get this from the Dollar Tree. Open that up a bit. I did. Okay, and then I'm just gonna put some of this, excuse me, on my wing here. And then I'm just gonna take an old brush here. I just snip off the ends of these when they get hard from old paint. And then I'm gonna just kind of brush that all in. I'm gonna leave some spots to put some hot glue so we can get an instant hold also. I'm just going to put a little bit of that hot glue. There we go. Around here and a little tiny bit there. And then I can line this up right there on my pencil line. Press it down. And that's what it should look like. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to line it up. Make the pencil mark. Some glue. And these are the wings for the bumblebee. And some of the hot glue. And again, just line that up. And press it down. Just giving that hot glue a moment to... Alright, so our wings are together. Alright, next I did take one of my rounds, my little ones that are going to be the head here, and before I glued these together I took one of the hearts, which I'll use this one, and I laid it down here before I added the other one. I don't have another one, or well, maybe you can do it this way. Anyway, I laid the heart down, there we go, about where I wanted it, and I just took a colored pencil and I traced that onto here because I am going to paint this part of it, the bee's face, in that same school bus yellow. So I'm going to get a little bit of that on my plate. And I'm going to get a small brush. And then what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to trace that line. Set it down. I don't have the steadiest hands ever. And then I'm just going to paint this. It's probably going to take 2 or 3 coats. Should have did this before I painted it all black, but I didn't think about it till after. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that yellow, and I'll do however many coats needed to cover it up, and then I'll let you know how many coats I used. And I'm just going to cover that bottom part. Let me show you up close. Kind of like that. So this down here will all be covered with the yellow paint. And then I'm gonna go paint this. I need another coat on this one. Let that dry. Then when we come back, we will start to assemble them. Okay, so what I did next is I took the yellow oval and then I just put some masking tape on it over the yellow, and I'm going to paint this part here in the black. So I'm just going to go down and do those. And I am doing the sides here. So I did put the tape to go on the sides, which I will show you in just a second. Let's see. I just got to dab that in there. And I'm just going to keep going here. I just dab it on the side to get it covered. And I didn't measure the spaces between the tape, I just kind of eyeballed it to try to get them as even as I could. Oops, I guess. Sorry, I got into painting and wasn't putting it in the shot of the camera. Alright, so that's how I did it. So I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to put another coat on it, and then I'll come back on and we'll pull the tape off. Alright, so we have the paint dry now, so I'm going to take off the tape. Hopefully we didn't get any bleedage, but if we did, that's an easy fix. So far, so good. There's one piece. Let me turn this a little bit, so there we go. Two. Three. And the last one. I think it looks pretty good. All right. Then, next, I'll set this to the side. If you can see here, the wings, I just added a little to them. I'll show you how I did that. I just did it with a Sharpie. So I just took the Sharpie and I just went with like dot, dot, 3 dots, and a line, 3 dots, and a line, 3 dots, and a line. You don't have to add this. This is just what I did. I thought it gave the wings a little more definition. You could add just paint. You could add just like stitching, or nothing at all. You could distress them, the edges, however you, I mean, it's your project, you do it your way. just an idea here. I just thought it gave the wings a little bit of definition and character. And these by any means aren't perfect, nor do they need to be perfect. I find doing it with the Sharpies a little bit easier than a paintbrush, but that's me. So there's our wings. All right, and then what I also did is I took some wire, and this is just I think jewelry wire is what it's called, and it's a real flexible, you can just turn it easy, piece of wire. And I already did some here because I wanted to paint them black, and I did two strands, we'll call it, but I'm going to show you how I did it. I just took a piece, and you make it however long you want your antennas, and I cut a piece off, and then I just took something round. This is a dowel rod. You could use the pieces from one of these brushes. You could use a paintbrush, whatever, anything round. And I just held it at the end and wrapped it around like so. So it's wrapped around there, and then I just slid it off, and you have some antennas. Alright, so I think it's time now to start putting these together. So we will start with the bee. So I'm going to take the bee, and I want to first, I added his little eyes and a mouth here, and I'm going to put some white dots in the middle, but I'll do it when I'm done. There. And his head is going to go right there. But before I put his head on, I need to put my antennas on. And I want to glue the antennas onto this piece here. So I need to decide how long I want them to be. So I'm going to cut this here. And I'm going to glue these on. To make this part straight. So I'm going to glue these on, and then I can trim them down where I want them to be trimmed. So I'm just going to go ahead and put his little antennas in there. And then I'm going to take some hot glue and glue those in, putting quite a bit on there. And I'm going to take my body and I'm going to stick it right on there and press it down until it adheres. Got the glue strings there. I'm going to pick them off. Did not get him perfect there, but that's quite all right. So we have our little antennas, and we'll come back to those. Then we're going to take our wings, and we're just going to put those, I think they should probably go in the back. Sure. Yeah, I think I like them in the back. So what we'll do is we'll put them how we want them, and then we're going to take our pencil and just make a little line so we have a glue line. Get us some glue. I'm going to use some wood glue here. And I'm putting that inside of the area where I put that pencil line. Then I'm going to take a little hot glue just to give it a instant hold. And do that on both. And then I'm going to take my bee, do this side quickly, press it down, and then this side, try to make sure I'm getting those even. Looks pretty good. And I'm going to press it down. And then I'm going to take my little, let's see, what can we use? We're going to use a paintbrush, the back of the paintbrush, and I'm going to dip it in some white paint. And I'm going to give our little guy some eyes. Now we're going to just turn it around and trim his little antennas. Actually, I'm going to take the very end of his antenna. Can get him. And I'm just going to curl them in so they're not pointy. I don't want to poke anybody's eye out. Well, maybe I will do that. There we go. Just kind of twisting them in a bit. I kind of like the length of them, and you can adjust them once you have them in there. They're turned in nicely, and then you can always add a little more black paint if needed to those. So you can adjust them any way you want them. And then I'm going to go ahead and give him a bow tie here, but I have to find the ribbon. So we'll go ahead and put our ladybug together first, and then I will find some ribbon. And we will take this one. First, I want to see where I want to put the wings here and the head. So we have a head here. I like the head about right here. So I'm going to take these off first. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of a, oh, I just got white paint on his face. I will touch that up. And I'm going to get some glue. And I'm just going to put it inside of those marks that I just put on here. And some hot glue. And guess what I did? I forgot to put these antennas in there. Same thing as we did with the bee. that before my hot glue dries. Okay, let's put these in here. And then we'll put that head on where we had the pencil marks and press those down. I didn't make my wires entirely flat, so we're going to have to play with those when we're done. And fix his little spot there. Alright, next we're going to do the wings. So we're going to just put them how we want them. I'm going to put mine just like that. And again, I'm going to take that yellow colored pencil. You can, and I'm just doing this for a reference line where I'm putting my wings. I guess I kind of also need to put one up here so I don't over glue it. Some hot glue. Use my head. And we'll press that down. Go ahead and fix that white paint there. Alright, these are starting to come out super cute, I think. And I'm going to take my little twisty tool here. You can use anything to do this. I'm just using this. And I'm just twisting these again so they're not pokey. Alright. And again, these can be adjusted any way you want them. Alright, so I'm going to find the ribbon to make some bows to put on each one. And I might put a little mouth on this one, I haven't decided yet. So these are super cute, I think. Anyway, so with these you could always put a twine hanger on these if you wanted to hang them. You could put a sawtooth hanger on these. These would be super cute, like on a wood fence outside. You would just have to Mod Podge them to make them weather safe. Or you could put a stake on them and put them in plants. So many different things you could do with these. So I'm going to go find some ribbon and get some bows made and then show you what we got and move on to the next. So I will be back in just a moment. Alright, we are moving on to DIY number 2. And before we move on to that, I want to say, first of all, hope you're all having a great day. But I want you to go ahead and check out Amy's channel. It's Crafting with Amy, and there's a link below in her description. She's got a video to show what I sent her for this Craft My Stash video. And her video is either up or will be coming up here. And check out what she made with what I sent her. I'm sure whatever she made will be absolutely stunning. She really does a great job with these challenge boxes and things. And of course my bark bombers are in full force, so sorry about that. But yeah, go ahead and check her out, her channel. I'm sure she came up with something really cute, and I can't wait to see what she made myself. Alright, so moving on into DIY number 2. I had a little change of plans here. I decided to go ahead and use the truck that she sent me, excuse the tape, because I had another one in my stash. So I'm going to be using the one she sent me and the one I had for this DIY. And this is going to be the third item I used. Plus I'm going to use the pieces of this these trays that she sent me. These were the ones that didn't survive very well in the shipping. So I'm going to be tearing it apart and using it. I already tore apart what I want to use, and all I did was pull these ends off. They popped right off, and these ends pop right off. And I'm not going to use those end pieces at the moment. And then I just cut this in half, which left me with these two pieces here. So that's number 4 of what she sent me that I'm using. We had to use 5 items. Alright, so next what I'm doing is I'm taking the trucks, the 2 trucks. I did spackle these here where the holes were, but that's not necessary because you won't even see them when we're done. And then I put a piece of masking tape down on the truck here, as you can see. And this I did because it's going to be easier to glue on my blocks and my pieces. It's going to stick better to the tape than it will to the truck. So I'm going to start with this one here. And then I'm going to take my Jenga blocks that I'm using, and I'm going to just hot glue the shorter side of the longer side, if that makes sense. I'll show you exactly what I mean in just a second here. So here's the block, and so I'm doing it, here's your thicker side here. I'm gluing along the longer but shorter side right there. So I'm gluing along that side. And then I'm just putting these, I'm putting one on each end to start with, because they're not all going to fit if I put them together. There'll be a space that's not quite big enough for the block. So I'm just going to put 4 of them on, but I'm going to space them out a bit. Not a bit, just a little bit. And I'm just gluing these right along that bottom piece of tape. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. So let me set this one over. And that'll be on this side here. I want to do the same thing here. And I'm just starting at the very edges, right on that bottom edge here of the tape. And I'm hoping I have these measured out right. I just took the tape and I used the lines that were already in the truck here. I went right under the window line. And then on this side I tried to line it up as best I could with this one that I'm working on. So we shall see if we lined it up well or not. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we don't want our truck to sit wobbly or lopsided. Alright, so then once we have this done, then we're going to take our pieces that we cut in half, and these do not have to be perfectly cut in the middle because we're going to be using them on the sides, like this. So we'll be using the longer edge. So what I'm going to do here is take my truck and I'm going to put glue on 2 of the Jenga blocks, or tumbling tower blocks I guess they're called. And I'm going to line this first one up with the back of the truck. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. this one on, lining this up with the front of the truck. So it looks like this. And then what I want to do now is, let me flip it around so you can see. We need some support pieces on this part of the truck here. So I'm going to take 2 more of these tumbling tower blocks. And these I'm going to place right down here on the tire area. And these, really try to get them as even as you can, but I don't think it's going to matter too much because this is the part that's going to stabilize it the most. And just put those on there like that. And then I have some more little pieces from the sides of the basket we cut down. And these I want to just make sure that they are the length of that, which they are a little long. So I'm going to set that up against here. And this one has a bunch of glue on it, so I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to line this one up here so I can get it so it's almost in half, but as you can see there's a little, so I'm going to cut right between those 2 lines. And then when I'm looking at this, I see where this one here is a little bit longer, but I don't know if that's going to make a difference. I'll let you know here shortly. I'm going to grab my miter shears. If you don't have these, you could just use a utility knife to cut this. This probably won't even cut through here. It's kind of a thicker piece. At least it'll put my lines in it. And I can just take my scissors and clean up that edge there. Actually, the scissors cut through this pretty good because it's just that real soft wood, balsa wood I think they call it, not sure. And then with this one I'm just gonna take and put some more glue, but I'm putting this on top of those tumbling tower blocks at the bottom. And I'm just gonna glue that one on. Excuse me. Alright, so here's what I have. The Jenga blocks, or tumbling tower blocks, and those pieces. Then I want to take it now and put this side of the truck on. But before I do that, I want to make sure, oh, I got to put some blocks on here. Let me put these on real quick. I'm trying to make sure I get them about the same. Oops, I didn't put the tape either. Hopefully those stay. Okay. Now let's hold this up first and see if they're gonna kind of match up here. Looks like they are. So we can go ahead and put our glue on the top here. the bottom. And then line these up. Trying to get them exactly where they're supposed to be. And I have a block sticking out here. So that's a little bit weird there, that everything looks to be matched up perfectly except for back here. This end of our truck is a little bit longer, which is a little weird, but that's okay because we're going to build around. Alright, so we have that nice and sturdy. So what I'm going to do next is get some cardboard. So give me just a second to get that out and I will be right back. Alright, so next I'm going to use some cardboard. And I use, if anyone's watched any of my videos here, you know I like to build. So that's what we're doing. And I am using cereal boxes, or in this case, it's a Nature Valley granola bar box is what I'm starting with here. So what I'm going to do first is cut a piece off. And I'm going to cut the ends off, just because it makes it a bit easier to work with. And now when I build, I'll just tell you now, I don't, sometimes I get an idea in my head, but I don't really have any plans drawn up or anything, if that makes sense. I just kind of wing it. So what I want to do first is I want to kind of get this rounded. So I'm just going to take a paint bottle and just kind of work it a little bit here. I guess I need to just kind of give it a little. And sometimes it's easier to use corrugated cardboard for this, which I might end up doing. We'll see how this works first. But I think this is going to work just fine. So what I'm going to do is put this here, just kind of work it around there like that. And then I'm going to put tape on my metal part of my truck, because it's going to make it easier to glue and have the glue stick to it. So let me just kind of show you what I'm going to do. I'm taking the tape here. And I'm going to cover all of the metal in some masking tape. It's just going to make it a whole lot easier to glue the cardboard and everything to it, because hot glue and metal aren't the best of friends. So you can see I'm just taking this tape and I'm putting it over, and I'm going to do that to all the metal here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I went and got some corrugated cardboard. This is a priority mailbox. It's a used box, something I received in the mail, so they're not the new ones. We don't want to use the new ones because these are free shipping boxes from the USPS for priority mail only. So this one is a used box, so I am just recycling the cardboard from it. So what I want to do first is take the front of my truck, and I want to kind of line this up. And I'm going to make a mark where I want to cut it. I will have to trim it, but I'm going to make a mark so I don't waste my cardboard. And then I'm going to take my ruler. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just want it to cut it down some so we have extra cardboard when needed. And then I'm going to take this piece here. I'm going to make sure I'm at the front, and I'm going to bend it. Now you want to make sure when you're doing this with the corrugated cardboard, you're doing it to where, if you can see, these has like little, if you can see, little lines inside of it, so you can kind of maneuver those lines. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. See how they kind of curl because the lines are going this way. And that's what I'm doing. I'm setting my box onto my truck. And I'm going to put a little tape on the bottom of it to hold it while I shape it. I'm not going to leave it there. I just want something to hold it. So I'm going to shape as I go. And that's where these little lines in the cardboard come in very handy. And almost a perfect fit there to get the outline of our truck. So you can see what we got there. And back in the back, I'm just going to cut off one of those little strips. You can see the line right there in the cardboard. That. Okay. So then once we have that in, take this back off. And then I'm going to add some glue. This is why we put that tape on there, to make it hopefully a little easier to work with. So I'm just going to start here and add some glue, just going up the sides as well. I always seem to run out of a glue stick right in the middle of a glue. Anyway, here we go. And then I'm also going to put some across this middle piece and on those little tower blocks. And I'm going to come back down here and add this and hold it down. Now if this isn't perfectly even here where you put it, that's perfectly fine because we're going to be trimming. So we're going to go ahead and continue doing this. I'm going to add more glue going up on the side. And this is not the only thing that's going to be holding this together. So don't worry about if it doesn't seem like it's super, super, super attached. So what I'm going to do is get a piece of tape ready. I'm going to put it on the top here like that. And then I'm going to add the glue, some more glue here, because I did not want to hold well. I'm going to hold that down and then tape it to where it gets a good grip. Do the same thing on this side. Glue in there, push it down, and then have that tape hold it down for us. And then we're going to move on. And I'm probably going to do the same when we get the piece of tape ready. I'm going to do that for the top, so it's going to go about right here. Okay. upside down for a minute. And we'll do the same thing over here. Hold that upside down. Okay, then we're going to work on the back here. So again, get another piece of tape. And glue on this piece. Same thing over here. And then what you're left with is this. So what we're going to do next is we're going to trim all these pieces on our truck. But the question is, do we want to do that before or do we want to do that after we put it on the sides? Let me play around with the cardboard for a minute, and I'll come back and show you how our best, what I think is our best way to add to this. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone ahead and trimmed all of this on the sides. And then I did this side all except for right here. Just want to show you how simple it was to do. I just took my little knife here and ran it a couple swipes down, and then along the edges, just getting it as close as I can to the other piece there. And then putting my scissors in and trying to trim it out. And then I just took a piece of my cardboard and I set it down. I put the top of it to the very top of the box so I don't have to trim that. Then I just took my Sharpie and traced all the way around. Oops, that was hot. I have one here already cut out, and I am using that old recycled priority box. And then I just, but any corrugated cardboard would work. And then I'm just tracing this out with my utility knife. of just cutting pieces off as I go. Makes it a little bit easier. I'm just grabbing my scissors as I go along here. Some parts of it aren't cutting the best, so I just cut it as I go. Utility knife gives it a nice starting point. And then you can just use your scissors there to just kind of clean it up. Okay. Then I'm going to set that there. Get my truck. I think I'll start with this other one here. And I'm going to just kind of piece that in where it goes. And glue. I'm going to get a glue stick ready because I always seem to run out. And all I'm going to do here is start at the top. And I am putting a little bit on the I'm just going to continue around. It doesn't have to be perfect in any way, shape, or form. We're just trying to get it to fit the best we can. And see, this is what happens when you don't put your tape down. Those tower blocks are coming right off. And if they come off, just re-glue them in there, no big deal. Alright, so this side is on. Now I'm going to do the same over here. I'm going to go ahead and get my glue here. That would be my cat, you hear? I'm just going to finish this one up here. And I just put glue wherever I can get into the spaces, because it doesn't have to be completely glued down because it's going to be covered. Alright, then once I have that on, I'm just going to kind of go around it and make sure it's fitting, and then where it's, if it's overlapping at all, I'm just going to take my knife and just trim it out. Pretty simple. To do. Sometimes it's simpler just to get your scissors in there. Whatever works. Looks pretty good. We got a little bit overlapping here. Just simple to just trim it down. Alright. And now we need to do the back. So I'm going to grab some more cardboard and I'll be right back. Alright, so I got my mess out here. Let me show you what I'm doing. I am working on tires, and I did cut 2" by 2" or a 2" circumference circles here. I did these on my Cricut, but you don't have to do them on a Cricut. You could easily just do them, trace them, and cut them. So I did 4. I've already glued 2 together, so I have 4 there. And then I'm going to glue, and I'm just taking my messy hot glue gun here, and I'm just putting some glue around the edges mostly, and a little in the middle, and gluing that on there. Just to give them a little bit of substance, we'll call it. And I am using lightweight chipboard, which is just like the cereal box. I just happen to have some 12 by 12 sheets, and that's what I'm using. Don't have to do that way. You can just trace and cut circles. But I figured if I have the Cricut, I might as well use it. And somewhere I am missing a circle. Let me see if I threw it away. Last one here. And so let's go back to what I've been working on. This glue gun out of the way and my hot mess here. So what I've done is I did take on the back here and just put some cereal board on the bottom and on the back here of the truck. Then I took some joint compound because I didn't have enough spackle, and I put it on here using a popsicle stick, and then I smoothed it with a little water and a paintbrush, which I will show you as I go to the sides here. So all I did, let me see if we can make a spot here so you can see what I'm doing. So I want to put my tires on first, I think, so I know where they're going to be. And I'm just going to glue those right on there like that. Just putting hot glue on them, see? And I'm just lining these up with the cutout of the cardboard, which is the shape of the original metal truck sign that she sent me. Alright, I'm just going to put that in there. I also cut out 4 little circles, which will be the middle of the truck tire, but we'll get to those later. So these 2 I'll do on the other side after I get this side done. So how I did the joint compound is I just got some on my little stick there, and I just started spreading it. You could use your fingers. I probably will eventually. Stick is not the easiest too. Yeah, I'm just gonna take my fingers and go. So I'm just getting it up around, and this is just to make it look like one cohesive piece instead of a metal sign and cardboard. So I'm kind of putting it on lightly here on the base of the cardboard. Going around those tires. When I get to the end here where you can see the edges of that corrugated cardboard, I am putting extra there so you can not see that corrugated cardboard. And you do have to get quite a bit in there to fill it. So I'm just getting like all my little pieces, the joints of the truck, covering these wheels. And I am putting some around the wheel, just because I did glue these pieces together and I don't want it to look like glued cardboard. It doesn't take much. And then put some here on the bottom edge, because it has the side of the corrugated cardboard. So we just get these covered, and then we'll show you that I do with the paintbrush. And then I want to add a little bit more around the tire here to kind of give it a rim, not a rim, I don't know what you call that little area around the truck there, but we're going to add some more there. But just around see what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So I'm just going around making sure I have everything covered how I want it. And then I'm going to take the paintbrush and get it wet. And then I just take it along the compound just to smooth everything out. And kind of thin it out somewhat. So our truck doesn't have a bunch of globs on it. And you can sand this down once it's all dry, which we will be doing some sanding. All right. And then we're just gonna let this dry, and then we'll flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side. So I will let it all dry, do the other side, and come back when it's completely dry. All right, so I have all the joint compound. It is all dry on this truck. I did go along lightly with the finger sander just to get any of the rough edges off. And so what I've done so far is I added a bumper, and I'm going to show you how I did that. I took a piece of, I guess this is foam, and I got this, something I had shipped to me, and it just was a piece of blue foam. So I cut it down to the size I wanted. You could use any kind of foam for this. I just happened to have this particular foam. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking the hot glue and I'm starting on the side by the tire, and I'm just adding a little bit of the glue, and I'm going to take it up to the tire right on the bottom edge of the truck, press it down, and then I'm going to take on the back of the truck, and I'm going to run that same glue line across the back right on the bottom edge of the truck. This is the bottom right here. I'm holding it upside down. And then I'm going to go to the side and glue this piece up here. And I did lay this out so I had a correct measurement. And then I'm just going to put that one there. And then what I did for this front, which I'm going to have to touch it up, is I started with this, where'd it go? This kind of a metallic paint, but it wasn't quite as shiny as I wanted it to be. So I grabbed a tester, silver. I think this is the kind that they use for models. And then I'm going to do the back one first, and then I'll touch up the front. Just dipped it on in there, and I painted right over this foam. And I'm doing this first because I don't want to get this on the actual truck when I paint it. Then I'm going to get the top. Now the top is, if you use foam, it's very porous. So you're just going to have to probably put a couple coats of it on there to cover it. Now when you're doing this, make sure the bottom nobody's gonna see, but right here on the side that faces the tire, make sure you get some paint in there or you'll have a blue splotch when you go to finish it. So I'm just going around the whole truck and getting that edge again that's right by the tire. And I'm going to go over that top again, because like I said, it is extremely porous. And it's just soaking right in there. Okay, let me touch up the front real quick and then we'll move on. Just adding a little more to the top and then the front where I smudged it. Checking my sides. Alright, that looks good. This paint stinks. This Tester's model paint. But you know what, while I have it out, if you remember earlier when we cut out our tires, we also cut out these 4 circles for the part in the middle of the tire. And I'm going to paint these this silvery metallic also. And you just need to do one side, but make sure you get the sides around it because you will see that. So I'll go ahead and paint those off camera. And and then I want to show you, I also took, and all I did was kind of hold a piece of cereal box up to my window of my truck and just kind of cut it down until I got the size I wanted for the windshield. And then I did the same thing here for the side of the truck where I want to put my windows. I just held them up and cut till I like the shape, and then I just traced this onto another one to get the same size for the other side. And I painted these in dark gray. I just used Craft Smart acrylic. I would have preferred to use some acetone or something, or clear plastic sheeting to make a window. But if you remember, this was originally started with those metal trucks, so I couldn't cut out the window. So I'm just improvising. And then, so I have my wheels on, and they're going to be painted. So I'm going to paint the wheels black, and then the rest of the truck I'm going to paint in this cashew chalk paint by Waverly. And then I probably will dry brush on it a little bit. And then I'm going to do all that, and I'll be back. Alright, so I've kind of put stuff together here for this truck because the video is becoming way too long. So what I did is I painted the cashew, dry brushed some antique wax, painted the tires black, and I put the little circles that I painted with the same as I did the bumper, silver. I put the window and doors on. This side, my Cricut needs a new blade, so it's not cutting well at all. So I took what I could salvage out of what I cut, which says Honeybee Farms, and then I stuck a little bee on there. And now what I want to do is make a little back tent-like thing on the truck for his fresh honey. So I took some just regular size popsicle sticks, and I cut one end of them off, and I put some antique wax on them. Now I'm going to put some glue on the bottom, and I'm just going to stick those inside of the truck bed and glue them to the side. So you can see I have those all glued in. And then I'm going to add the sticks. I'm going to cut in this part. If all goes well, you won't see this part, so I didn't stain it. I'm just eyeball cutting these, not measuring, because they're going to be covered. Like I said, if all goes well. And I want to put one across here. On both sides. So you can just kind of see what I'm doing here. And then my plan here is to make a tent-like structure. Kind of like that. But I gotta cut my sticks even. So I'm just using one for So I think I'm going to kind of put these, I'm not really sure. So I'm going to figure this out and I'll be right back. Okay, so I think I figured it out. I went ahead and took another item that she had sent me, and that was these burlap mini shaped flags. I already opened them. And this is what they look like, little burlap flags there. So I just cut them all up and I put them around that little pieces I made. Then I took 2 popsicle sticks here and I glued them out. Took another piece of the burlap, which I'm going to put right here, and that's going to give it a little awning like for the honey that he is selling. So I'm going to glue right around here and put that on, and I glued it back way too far. Hot glue. Put a little piece over that to kind of cover up all that glue mess I made. Here we go. So here's what we have. We have like a little farm truck that is selling his fresh honey. And I'm gonna make a little sign to put right here. And I'm gonna make a little bee spoon, I guess you call it, to put right here. So let me move this stuff out of the way. I already have everything out. Move the truck. And to make our little spoon, or dipper, I think they're called honey dippers, I'm gonna use some buttons. And I already pulled them out. And these all came from a button jar I got from Walmart. I believe it was $9.97. And so what I'm going to do here is take my two bigger buttons and I'm going to glue these together. Like that. Then I'm going to take the next size button and I'm going to glue that one on each side. The next button, which is a little bit smaller than the last one we put on. Put that one on there, right in the center. Excuse me. Sure if we need these smaller ones, but we're going to use them anyway because I pulled them out. Yeah, that just kind of gives it a nice little finishing touch. Alright, and then I have a dowel piece that's already cut here. And I'm going to glue that on the end right there. Sliding around. And I want to put this on the top of the truck, so I want to cut it about right here. As soon as I find my miter shears to cut it. And I do have a hot mess going on here. Oh, right here in front of my face. You could cut these with a utility knife too if you don't have miter shears. Now it's stuck in there. I'm thinking about adding a little honey on it, but I don't think I'm going to. So I'm just gonna glue this on the top. Just give it a little character. We could always, whoops, not even in frame, so sorry. Let's see. There we go. So I put the honey stick right there. And I'm thinking about putting some hot glue there and painting it yellow to make it look like honey. But if I do it and I mess it up, then I'm kind of stuck with it. Decisions. I think I'm going to try it. I'm just going to put the glue. And then I want to get some of it onto the burlap there. Let that dry and then we'll paint it to make it look like honey. Alright, now I'm just gonna let this dry real quick, make my little sign for farm fresh honey, and I'll be back to paint this and this one will be done. Alright, the glue now is dry enough to paint to make it look hopefully like honey. And I'm just using the school bus yellow that I used in the other DIY. It's probably going to take a couple coats to get it all covered the way I want it to look. Alright, well this is good enough to get you the idea. I will finish up the paint when this coat dries. So here is what we have. We have a little farmer who is out selling his farm fresh honey. So here's the honey dipper on the top for decoration. We have his little tent here, or his little area in the back of the truck where he has his honey. The little farm fresh honey, $5, and honey comes from Honeybee Farms. And there's our little truck, both sides, and the back. So I will post pictures at before we move on to DIY number 3 of that all painted with the second coat. Alright, let me get stuff put away and we will go on to our final one, DIY number 3. Alright, moving on to DIY number 3. I am going a very simple, different direction than I had planned due to the fact that my Cricut needs a new blade and it's not cutting well. So I am using this piece, is one of the pieces in the box she sent me. This is piece number 6. So actually I've already used my 5 required. So this is the 6th. I used the ovals in the first DIY, 2 of them. So that's 2. In the second DIY, I used a metal truck. I used pieces of the trays that had got broken transit, number 4. And I used the burlap flag garland, and that was 5. So this is number 6. I'm going to use this, some of these wood letters from Dollar Tree, some black paint, some more of that school bus yellow paint, some of these bees out of this little pack that I got from Amazon. I will put a link for those. I used some in the previous DIYs too. And that is about it. This is going to be super simple and super fast because this video is already super long. I'm also going to be using some of these yellow beads out of here. And then I have some random black beads I'm going to use. Alright, so what I'm going to do first is cut off the tag. And then I'm going to cut off these beads, which I will put in my bead bucket here and save for another project. Excuse me. I'm going to leave these holes because I'm going to put the yellow and the black beads that I just showed you in here. Alright, so what I want to do first is, this has like a little funky corner on it. So it might pull up easy and it might not. One way to find out. Guess what? It's not. So we're just going to paint over this. So I am going to take my little sander, smooth that down. I want to get some of this glitter off of here. Just sand these corners a bit because of the paper on them. Excuse me. Alright. So I'm going to paint the inside of this frame, this school bus yellow. Find a brush, that'll be. Probably going to take a couple coats. Don't have any of my little foam brushes at the moment. That would probably do it in 2 coats. But that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and paint this inside school bus yellow, and the outside I'm going to paint black. When that's all dry, I'll be back. Oh, and I'm going to paint my letters too that I'm going to use in black. Alright, so these are dry now, and I'm going to go ahead and just put this together. Again, this is a super simple DIY. I have my beads strung. I need to add a few more. And I did just put them on a fresh piece of twine. And I tied one end in already. And I'm just going to bead a few more on here. And I'm going with the black and yellow, like I said, for the bee color. Alright, and then I'm just going to put this one through here. And tie a knot here. I'm going to do a double knot as close as I can get it to the frame. And then just cut it down. And then I painted my letters. It's going to be B with the 2 E's for the bumblebee. kind, painted them black. I did a little stitching with paintbrush. I didn't do the best job stitching it. I'm not the best stitcher, but you get the idea, and that's what it's for. Here's the bee. I'm just eyeballing these, so I hope I can get them as straight as possible. And I just added the stitching to them because I thought it brought out the letters a little bit more. Now these I gotta kind of lay out to see the best way for them to fit. And I am going to have to literally take them to edge, I think. Might even have to angle them somewhat, but we will figure it out. That's gonna fit, barely, but it's gonna fit. Like I said, this was a last minute switcheroo because my Cricut decided it wasn't going to cut well my vinyl. Okay, and then I'm just going to add a few of these bees, and this will be done. Super simple, but super cute. I'm gonna use a couple of different sizes. I'll put one right here on the end. The yellow of the beads is not quite the same yellow as this, and I could have painted them, but I didn't, so it is what it is. Like I said, you get the idea. If you like this sign or something similar, it's very easy to recreate. And there we have it. Just a simple, be kind, be themed DIY. Alright guys, make sure you head over to Amy's channel at Crafting with Amy and see what I sent her and what she made with what I sent her. I'm sure they will be absolutely fabulous. Alright, until next time, have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.